Cuba, the most populated island of the Caribbean, with a population of 11 million, is now home to several thousand Muslims. Such is the simplicity of Islam as a religion that it is impossible to ignore the growing Muslim community, even in this communist land. As per the Cuban, the number of Cuban Muslims are nearly 10,000. Even though the Muslim community is small comparatively, they add a great vibrancy to the overall culture of the country. The Islamic values are neatly blended into the Latin American costumes. Not only does it add to the diversity of the community, the non-Muslim Cubans also get an opportunity to come face to face with Muslims and experience firsthand Islam, which is otherwise misrepresented in mainstream media. You might have known that the Cuban culture was first introduced to Islam with the arrival of Christopher Columbus, who brought Moorish slaves with him. These slaves were a part of the Spanish Islamic cultures. Again, in the 19th century, many different groups of Africans arrived in Cuba because of a jihad in Western Africa. It was reported that there were more than 5,000 Muslims in Cuba before 1959, but most immigrated after the Cuban Revolution. However, the current spread of Islam in Cuba has been quite recent. Most of it is associated with the arrival of foreign students. These students were predominantly from Muslim countries like Indonesia and more specifically Pakistan. In 2005, a massive earthquake in Pakistan displaced many people. In response to this earthquake, the Cuban government offered 1,000 Pakistanis refugee. The majority of those who immigrated to Cuba studied medicine throughout the island. They had a big impact. Though many of those Pakistani students returned to their homelands eventually, they left behind the foundation for a community that has since grown. In 2005, there were 500 Muslims in Havana, according to Pedro Lazo Yahya, the president of the Cuban Islamic League. That number grew every year, and in 2015, Saudi Arabia provided the Cuban government funding to build a mosque over an antique car museum in Old Havana. More than half of the Muslim Cubans are converts. The reasons for conversions vary. While some view Islam as the more true or pure religion, there are those who turn to Islam for more personal and specific reasons. Cuba makes for a unique case, as it remains to be the only country with a Muslim population that has little or no Arab influence. Cubans are very tolerant when it comes to religion. In fact, due to communism, Muslims still face a lot of difficulties due to the presence of different religions. Even pork can be a difficult challenge for Muslims, as it is the country's most favorite meat. Cubans are also very fond of drinking, which also is prohibited in Islam. The customary kiss when man and woman meet in touchy-feely Cuba is again a strict no for Muslims. Since Muslims are still a minority in Cuba, they lack the basic facilities required to practice their religion. Apart from the country's first mosque in Old Havana, which allows Muslims to perform their daily prayers in congregation, there are barely any mosques or other religious infrastructures. Fortunately, it is located next to an Islamic museum with copies of the Holy Quran in Spanish. This serves as an excellent source for future converts or anyone interested in learning about Islam and Muslims. Other Muslim countries are also cooperating to build mosques and provide Muslims in Cuba with essential services to facilitate their religious obligations. In the early 1990s, the handful of Muslim converts would be at risk of being killed by the regime for practicing their religion. Since there were no religious teachers or any kind of literature, it was even harder to practice religious duties. Recently, things have changed a lot as Muslims have more access to religious teachings. The mosque or religious centers provide learning material as well as Islamic services. They even provide Muslim men and women with Islamic dresses as well as distribute lamb meat in Ramadan. Lack of imams and expert Muslim teachers in Cuba has made the transformation of Cuban Muslims quite tricky. Despite that, everyone is progressing and doing a little bit of their own interpretation. The Cuban Muslims are constantly learning about new religion and evolving together. May Allah be with them.